Hey, this is Ivar from Enslaved, and we're in Seattle today.
Okay, great. Ivar, thank you so much for joining us today. I wanted to dive a little bit into your latest record, E. And can you tell us a little bit about the making of the E record and maybe what city, country you recorded in? And did you enjoy working with Jens Bogren? Am I saying his name correctly?
Totally.
Jens Bogren as a producer?
Absolutely, yeah. We found this formula a couple albums back, where we record like the tracks that needs room to record, like the drums, where you need the acoustics. There's a very good studio in Bergen called Solslottet, translates into the Castle of the Sun, very pompous studio name. They have great rooms, so we record the basic instruments there. As a band, we try to do it like old school, to be in the room with each other, playing, getting the vibe together, which is sometimes a challenge when the songs are like 10 and 11 minutes, because you have to do the whole thing. And then we do a lot of add-ons in our own studios. We're three guys in the band with our studio of our own. And then we take it all to Jens in Sweden, Örebro. A very nice studio on the countryside. Nothing else there, just his house and his studio next to it. And he's an amazing guy to work with. You know, he's one of the top mixers and producers in the metal world. We came in, I guess, directly after Creator or something like that. You know, he does the big bands also, and it's really good because we give him all these files and different sections. We do experiment a lot with sound, and he really just he hones it together. He does a little bit of sometimes he'll make our more experimental stuff more, I guess, understandable in a way on an album. So it's a great mix to work with him. I think we're going to work with him for a lot more.
Cool, that's great. And a little bit about the idea behind the conceptual ideas behind the album artwork. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about that, or who the artist was that worked on it with you.
Yeah, we start off normally. You know, I'm the songwriter in the band. I write the music, that is, and then I do the lyrics together with Grutle, our singer. And we normally come up with a concept quite early on in the songwriting and the lyrics that we take to this guy Truls Espedal is his name. Very talented Norwegian painter. All of the album art is oil painting, done on large canvases, and then he makes photos and scales it down.
Scales it down, yeah.
It's pretty amazing, and he makes like you will see part of the album artwork is like the background for the front cover. So that's the way it works. He'll make the background, like the wall first, photos that, and it exists for maybe half an hour, and then he paints on top of that. So
that's cool.
He's got a very special technique. But this time the concept pretty much arrived as we began to write the album. So it's very clear from the first second what the concept of the album was going to be, and we kept Truls in the loop, and finally we meet, listen to the music together, and he just paints for weeks and weeks. Normally he says he listens only to the album, like the different mixes of the album before it's finished, while he's painting. And normally he'll end up listening through it like 150 to 200 times while painting it, which is...
Oh, that's awesome.
So I don't understand how he can bear to listen to Enslaved after that.
He might be the biggest fan, right?
He's kind of, or at least the most insane one.
Yeah.
So, yeah. It fits the cliche of the eccentric painter, yes.
That's great. So that kind of limits you. You're going to have to finish your record before you can at least get your artwork done, right?
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
It's a good parallel process,
Yeah, it's cool. That's awesome. Great. For the record, though, was there a theme or inspiration for the record as you started putting this together?
Yeah, it came out as I was getting ready to put the first ideas into music. The idea was to work with this particular rune, the Nordic runes. There's 24 symbols. It was used as the alphabets, I guess, as far back as maybe 10,000 years ago. The first, it's influenced by other, of course, it's not like the Norsemen popped out of the ground. They came from various places, from south, from north, from the east, whatever. And they had with them ideas from other alphabets, I guess, the Egyptian, and all these Eastern alphabets and so on. So they made their own like local version of the runes. They're for writing, but also had magical purposes for them, which identified. You would find them almost like, I would say, like a spiritual emoji in a sense. Like on their boats they would have the runes for travel and richness of fish or whatever, this kind of thing. So we were looking into this particular rune called Evas, which was their E. In the Latin alphabet it's the E, yeah, but they drew it as an M. And that one's about dualities, it's a rune that you would typically, if you were going to brand your horse, you would put that on your horse, that rune, because it symbolized the understanding between human and other living things, which could be abstracted into anything, nature as a whole, your inner nature, other people, your children, whatever, or your horse, for that sake. So that's what the theme was for this album, the interactions, so to speak. There's a lot of individualism in metal, and I guess especially in extreme metal, we tend to get all fussy and loving about the individual, and we thought it was time to explore a little bit of the relationships that we also need around us.
That's awesome. It's a lot deeper than I thought. I just thought you chose E for Enslaved, and
and
but it worked out well too.
Exactly, that's what we thought. It's E for Enslaved. You have E for energy and science, whatever. So it pretty fits everything. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great story. Cool. So on the show, I'm going to be focusing on 3 songs, and those are Hindsight, Axis of the Worlds, and The River's Mouth on the show. And so what I'm hoping to do for the listeners is give them a deeper sense of the record. So if there's any story on any of these particular songs, maybe in the writing process or the recording process that you want to share, that'd be awesome. And what I'll do is I'll kind of splice these together as the songs play right before. So,
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say one of the songs that's got a very special story is Hindsight. Because it's, conceptually, lyrically, it's about, I guess, the relation that we can have with our past selves, in a sense. That it's about, it's influenced by the psychologist Carl Jung, the Austrian guy that really introduced archetypes as a popular concept in our culture, and about a lot of the conflict or unrest or anxiety, whatever, is due that you sort of get out of sync with your own selves from the past, right? So you do stupid things. At least I do it on a regular basis, and then most of it is fine. But then you do maybe like 1 or 2 big things that sort of fuck things up for you, and you sort of live in that dissonance with your own past self. You get a bad relationship to yourself, in a sense, and it's about reconciling with that, and sort of both in time, but also in a more, that's horizontally, I would say, but also more vertically, if that makes any sense, between the subconsciousness and the consciousness. To find that sort of common ground, and that's what Hindsight is about. A forgiving of past mistakes in your own life and so on. And that, with those thoughts, the song just kind of came on its own. It just rolled out there, very easy to write, and also we just had to have a saxophone on the song for the first time. We were talking about it for 15, 20 years with me and the singer. So we're a big fan of good sax playing. There's a lot of sucky sax playing out there.
And who's playing sax on this record?
There's a Norwegian guy who turned out one of the guys that we're a fan of, that we heard. He's doing a lot of experimental jazz, and we like to call it coastal jazz in Norway, because it's not happy, it's not festive, it's very melancholic, long notes. And it turned out the studio we went in, he just moved in, had his studio next door. So then, as he passed in the hall, we're like, have you ever played metal? And he's like, no, but I really like to try it out. So he came in one night, laid his sax solo, where we figured out it would be cool to have it. And we listened to it, and he asked if it was okay, and we were like, yeah, the only problem is we need more. So he had to come back the second night and do more of it, and it ended up beautifully, I think. Also, our friend Einar from Vardruna added his, enormous Lord of the Ring-esque choirs to the end bit, so it turned out to be a very cool and personal piece, I think.
Yeah, it's
some of our best friends.
pretty epic. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. And some of the other songs you had, that was Hindsight, and then for Axis of the Worlds.
Axis of the Worlds is, I would say, this is the first time we've been accused of having blues influences with that song. It's a little bit more rocky, got a rocky vibe to it than a lot of stuff that we do. But it's impossible to escape in a sense with all that 70s and classic rock that we listen to. It's just you gotta be allowed to seep in there, I think. And also it's a very interesting lyrical piece by Grutle, our singer, and that sort of connects. It looks into the how you can relate to draw influence from mythology and psychology and all these things, and still sort of maintain a practical outlook on things. And that's what we try to do with Enslaved. We want to look to the mythology and the history and all that stuff, and try and learn something from it. But it's not like we're against electricity or want to dress up in bear skins and drink blood all day. We still prefer a good cup of coffee and a nice warm bed, all that stuff. But it's definitely about that, finding that balance, I think, of the best from the past and the best from now, and sort of reaching something good.
That's cool. Great.
And finally, River's Mouth. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you.
It's probably the most direct song on the album. It was one that was really cool to record. It takes two outer points, I would say, from our horizon of influences. I would say it's a tribute to Bathory in a sense, like early Bathory, too simple 3/4 first album, black metal mid-paced beats, and then all the way over to what Hawkwind was doing in the 70s with space, the aggressive psychedelia. Yeah, that's the first time I heard Hawkwind. I was blown away totally, because I didn't know that existed. I only heard like the happy, mellow psychedelia. To hear that sort of relentless, almost militaristic psychedelia was just an eye-opener. So we tried to splice them together, and I think it came out quite well. And also Josh Graham from Suspended in Light, who did a lot of Neurosis videos and so on, made a video for it, and I think it's awesome.
That's cool. Yeah, man. Cool. For Randy and I also do a new releases show on Fridays, and and if you had anything that you were working on, any other projects that might be coming up in the future that you wanted to let us know about, we'll be happy to kind of play it in the future, and we can, if there's something specific you want to talk about, we can splice this in ahead of time. So I don't know if there's anything you wanted to talk about, re-releases, or I know that you recently had a re-release of your first record on vinyl, which I was playing last week on the show. Oh, cool. Yeah. Nice. So whatever you want to talk about, if there's something that you want to speak about, I'd be happy to play. So
yeah, we have this project. We did one album called Skuggsjå. It's with me and Einar, the singer from Vardruna, and we're doing the follow-up. It's coming out April 20th, called Huggsjå. The first one, Skuggsjå, is sort of the word itself is from Old Norse, meaning looking at reflection. And that album had a conceptual backbone of looking at Norwegian history, looking at the present through sort of a mirror that was Norwegian history. And now we're doing Huggsjå, which means to look inside the mind. So now it's more of a reflection of the Norse, I would say, state of mind in a sense. It sounds very local, but what we discovered by going sort of like having this micro view on the coastal line of Western Norway, which was the first part to be populated in Norway, that it really translated into something more universal, I think. And this album is I'm very proud of it. It's a little bit more folkish, I would say, and a little more 70s, maybe Led Zeppelin when they do the folk thing, and not so much folk meets metal, right? But it's a really good one, and a very interesting concept, I think. And also we learned a lot from doing the concept. We have been talking a lot to academic circles in Norway, and there's a lot of misconceptions, like the whole Viking culture is supposed to be some kind of just a European or Germanic, movement towards the north. But it turns out it was quite the melting pot, because there was a lot of immigration from the northeast, the Mongolian people, the Finnish and all that, coming up from the north, and then they met all these southern Europeans, and they all just like blended together.
Oh, is that how? Yeah.
Yeah, so I think it's a good thing. It cracks some myths, and I think it's going to be an interesting album to see how people react to it.
Cool, and it comes out in April?
April 20th.
Okay, and the name of the band is Hoosh?
It's just, it's Ivar Björnsson and Einar Selvik.
Oh, okay, cool. That'll be easy to find then.
Yeah.
All right. Awesome.
Absolutely. There's actually a sampler at the merch, the Enslaved merch, called By Norse, Volume 1, which is me and Einar's record label, where we did all these re-releases.
Oh, okay.
And the first song of the album is on that CD, if you want to hear it.
Okay, cool. All right, thank you. Yeah, we will pick it up.